What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 100 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, hello.
Hello.
Can we see your shirt?
Yeah, look at my shirt. It's
Oh, there's our Bros Talking Soccer specially designed shirt. I'm slightly jealous because I'm on the West Coast, so it takes a little bit longer to get here. So I do not have mine yet, but I am super excited. It looks great.
Yeah, is that
Matt,
why you're on the left? Because you're on the West Coast? Is that why you put your face on the left?
Yep. I definitely thought that much into it.
Yeah, that's good. Very good.
Yeah, it wasn't birth order or anything like that. Matt, what's up?
Nothing. What's up with you, Dave?
All right, cool. So listeners and viewers, thank you for being here. We are live on YouTube. Feel free to interact with us as we go along here. Chime in with your own thoughts, expectations, comments, questions, concerns. I got that up and I have that rocking in the background. We have a little something extra. So this is our live recording and then we release as a podcast later today. We have a little something extra for people because this is our 100th weekly episode. Technically, I think this is close to 150 episodes, but this is our 100th kind of weekly episode. And so I put together a little something extra. I don't know. I doubt. Do you guys have anything special planned for the episode?
Wait,
well, I'm here.
Wait, 150? Are you including like the World Cup episodes?
Yeah, I'm including the World Cup, a couple interview episodes and whatnot. So this is our 100th weekly episode. I think this upcoming week, we started on November 22nd. So this is actually almost our 2-year anniversary as well. So this is a big day for us guys.
Yay.
All right. Christian's got the trivia question. I think we're ready to go here. So we're gonna jump into things. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 100 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, hello. How you doing today?
Hello, Dave. I'm doing just dandy. I got a lot of sleep last night, which is nice, although I'm yawning now, which is not a good time. But it's just great, Dave. I can't complain about anything.
Wow, that is fantastic. That's always nice to hear. For those that are listening to the podcast, missing out on the YouTube viewing, I should say, Christian is rocking our new Bros Talking Soccer long sleeve tee, and it looks fantastic. So be sure to go check that out. Matt, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for asking. It's a little upsetting that it's not that during the international break, not seeing club soccer on weekends, but we'll power through as always.
Yeah, and you're home for Thanksgiving, so hopefully home is treating you well.
Yeah, home is great. Home is home.
There.
Yeah, you two are together. That's always nice. You got the brotherly love in person.
Box in the bottom right anyway, but he's there again. But he's actually right here. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. So what's that?
On the screen. Like he's usually in the little box in the right-hand corner.
Yeah.
And he is right now too, because I'm there too. And
okay. This is a fantastic joke. This is playing so well. Okay. All right. Guys, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Getting excited for Thanksgiving. So, we're not going to talk to you before Thanksgiving, but hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving for all our American listeners, anybody overseas. I just hope you have a great week. Real quick, I just wanted to thank everybody. So this is our 100th kind of weekly episode. I think we've released close to 150 episodes in total, but this is our 100th weekly episode that we normally do between us. So thank you all for listening and supporting us throughout, the 2 years. This is also our 2-year anniversary. November 22nd, 2016 is when we started. So thank you for being with us. For those that have been with us the whole time, for new people, thank you for checking us out. And so I just wanted to include a quick thank you for all of that. Christian, over to you for a trivia question.
Our trivia question this week has been pretty big on social media, so you guys may have seen it, but I'm going to ask it anyway because our listeners might not have. So, do you know Brazilian Ronaldo? I bet you guys do. He's pretty great. How many times in his career did he score a goal by dribbling around the goalkeeper?
Ooh.
I haven't seen this on social media, so for me.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's going to be a tough one because I know he scored a bunch of goals and his highlight videos make it look like almost every other goal was him dribbling around the goalkeeper. So, that's a good one. So we'll think on it, listeners. You'll think on it as well, and we'll give our guesses at the end. Okay, over to Matt for Matt's time here on this podcast.
All right, thanks, Dave. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Matt's time here on this podcast. We're going to start this week talking about Claudio Ranieri joining Fulham Football Club. Small club in London. Sorry, dig at our friend Christian there. But yeah, he joined joined Fulham this week. They're in 20th place in the Premier League. Wasn't going well for them. Now they had like a bunch of summer signings where they brought in pretty good talent for a newly promoted club. They have a team that kind of deserves to be in the Premier League and are in last place. Dave, we'll start with you. What do you think of the signing?
I think it makes sense. So Fulham's issues have been mainly defensive in that they can't stop anyone from scoring. And Ranieri is a tactically sound Italian coach that usually is kind of known for his defensive tactics. So I think it kind of fits with that.
All right, Christian?
Yeah, I think that he's going to set them up in a little bit of a different formation. I think that he's going to bring in that Leicester style that they kind of play a 4-4-2, just flat out. And he said he wants to buy a striker in the winter window so that they can have a second striker to play with Mitrovic. I think they need a quick striker similar to Vardy, how he played with Ulloa, if you guys remember him. It would be interesting if he can. I still think that they need a Conte type to actually play his system, which is very, very rare. But Sarri is a very good Sarri is a very good center midfielder. He was targeted by Barcelona, and somehow Fulham got him, which is still mind-blowing. They just need to set up in a formation to get the best out of their players. They have Schürrle. They have a lot of talent on that team. They need to probably sign 4 defenders, 1 for each position, because that's a mess. But right now, their goalkeeping situation is fine. And their front line is okay, and their midfield is fine. They need to improve the defense, and I think that he can bring that. And just to remember, Robert Huth and Wes Morgan were the center backs on that team, which is a joke, that won a Premier League. He can get the best out of center backs if he sets them up correctly, and it's because they played so deep. They were just big guys. All they had to do was win head balls. They didn't chase anyone really, and they played on the counterattack. So that if he can set them up the similar way, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's a great signing. I think he gets the best out of all his players, and I don't think the talent on this Fulham team is much worse or much different than the Leicester team. I mean, Conte was definitely the best one of, either one of these teams, and then Mahrez is a creative player, but I think Fulham's got, talent all over, and I think, bringing that team together is going to get the best out of them. So I think it's a great signing. I don't see Fulham getting relegated this year. Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I don't see them getting relegated either. And I don't know, to be honest, if they need to sign a ton of players. They may need to bring in 1 or 2 defensively. But I think, Christian, like you were talking about at the end of your point there, I think that the way Ranieri kind of manages, he gets the most out of his players. And so I don't know if they do necessarily need to change players. I think they just need to change their system. And so maybe 1 or 2 defensive reinforcements, but I don't think they need a complete overhaul from a player personnel perspective.
Fair point, David.
Thank you.
Anything else you guys want to add on this?
Yeah, I don't think that they're only 3 points out. If they beat Southampton, they go level on points with them, and they're in 17th. They're easily still in the race to get out, and I still think they can finish 15th, 14th this year.
I can't believe they're behind Cardiff with that. I don't remember
Well, they lost to Cardiff and they lost to Huddersfield, which is just a joke. No offense, Cardiff and Huddersfield fans.
Oh, we have a ton of them on this podcast.
Yeah. All right. You guys good to move on?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
All right. So this week, international break, and Germany, one of the world powerhouses for soccer, and it's not going well for them in the last 365 days or so. They didn't do well at the World Cup, and now they came in last in their UEFA Nations League group and have gotten relegated to what is it, League B, League 2, the second division.
Yeah, I think it's B. I think it's Division B. I don't know what they call it, but it's the second division.
They are no longer with the top, 16 teams, right, in Europe, or
no, it's 3. It's 12.
Yeah, top 12 teams in Europe. Christian, what do you make of this disaster for Germany?
I come back to the point where they re-signed Jogi Löw, who has been there for a long time and has been struggling recently to get the best out of the team. And just like we talked about with Ranieri, Jogi Löw is just not having a good time and getting the best out of his players. It's the opposite effect. you can't stay at international level too long, in my opinion, and you see it over and over again. Tabarez is the only one who I've actually seen do it for Uruguay, but is that not his name?
No. That was immediately who I thought of, like where you can't, but he did, and so you addressed it, Christian. So you're just so spot on.
I'm just really on my game today. I think it's all the sleep that I finally.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Christian got up about 10 minutes before we started recording.
Yeah. But yeah, to just address one more point about Germany, they have too much talent to not be in the top division. It's ridiculous. Their team has world-class players in every single position. They are fantastic to watch. Well, they used to be, and they still can be. I think it's the coach that has to go. And it's the UEFA Nations League, so I don't think people are reading too much into it yet. But the competition has been really, really fun to watch, and I hope it does become more of like a world spectacle.
Right. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope that as well. I mean, their group was France and the Netherlands, which France is World Cup champions, and the Netherlands has a ton of talent and probably should have been in the World Cup, and they're kind of going through a little bit of a renaissance. So it wasn't like their group was easy that they were playing in, but they ultimately haven't been talented, or they haven't been good enough, is what I should say. They have the talent, but they just haven't been good enough. They haven't been performing. I think you're spot on with it being Jogi Löw's fault, where he's just overstayed, and they've lost kind of the motivation there, and they need to kind of move on to someone else and see if that can reinvigorate the players and the player pool and whatnot. But yeah, this isn't a good sign with them crashing out of the World Cup and then going out in the group stage of this UEFA Nations League. There needs to be a change.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring up a point that came up in the media this week. Hans-Peter Briegel. He's a former Germany defender. He blamed Germany's kind of lull in their play the last year on Pep Guardiola.
Oh, right. Totally.
And how he said Germany thinks they need to keep the ball. Dave, are you buying into, or I'll go Christian, are you buying into that?
No, he's not their coach. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I think Pep Guardiola has changed the game of soccer completely, which is just incredible. But each manager has their own style, so there's no reason to say that. I know Bayern Munich had a lot of Germany players playing in this World Cup and recently, so they have Pep's influence. But I still think that this Germany team has a lot of players from a bunch of different teams around the world, and you can't really place it on one manager at the club level.
Yeah, this is so weird. Like, I feel like this happens a lot in Germany, where like the executives and higher ups or people just in the media like to finger point and place the blame pretty quickly rather than kind of taking an introspective look. I don't know if it's like that doesn't really strike me as like a German culture type of thing, but maybe it is kind of on the soccer side. I don't know what it is, but we see this all the time with Bayern executives coming out and saying, it's not their fault, it's so-and-so's fault, or saying, they're not the ones to blame. And this sounds like another case of trying to deflect blame. Like, how could it not be Jogi Löw? Like, what? Yeah. Like, I don't understand how this could be Pep Guardiola's fault. Like, I get slightly what he's trying to say, but no, like, I don't agree with it in any way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys, but I would also like to point out that Germany won a World Cup when Pep Guardiola was in charge of a German club team. So just like to throw that out there. Anything else you guys want to add on this topic?
I think that's really the reason then. That's why he's blaming Pep, because Pep left too early.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let me get my phone out for this one. Get the research up. So last topic.
He has 6% battery too.
Yeah. So let's yeah.
Oh, this is going to be tight.
So let's take it. We're going to go back in time, everybody, to 1994, where
Matt was born.
Yeah, before I was born, and when you guys were just lads.
We're lads.
In 1994, there was a Caribbean Cup qualifier. So wait, the Caribbean.
I think we all remember the game. Yep. We all know the Caribbean qualifier.
Which I'm not even sure what that tournament is.
I have no idea either. I'm just joking.
Okay, no. I just assumed you knew because you seem to know a lot about things in soccer. But okay, so 1994 Caribbean Cup qualifier. It's Barbados, and they had beat Grenada by 2 goals or more to qualify. It was okay. So the game was All right, I'm trying to see the best way to format this. So back in 1994, a golden goal counted as 2 goals for some reason.
Was it just this competition? I don't remember.
I've never heard this before. So it had to have just been this competition because I've never heard. Why would it count? Like a golden goal is just worth a goal because it's the last goal, right? Like
It's
why
a
would it
golden
all?
goal.
Yeah, totally. Up to 2. So
Okay, maybe I don't know.
nothing, and Granada scored late on in the game to make it 2-1. So Granada was going to go through, Barbados was going to be out. So instead of trying to score to go up 3-1, Barbados was trying to score on themselves to force extra time and go 2-2. And Granada caught on to this and decided they were going to defend the other team's goal. And they both were defending both goals to make sure there was no goals going on in this game. Eventually, Barbados was able to score an own goal on themselves and then go to extra time, where they won in extra time and went 4-2 and were able to qualify for the tournament. Dave, just what are your thoughts on that?
This is terrible that the internet and Twitter and didn't exist back then, because I would have loved to have seen. I don't know if there's video of all of this. I can't imagine there is, because I feel like I would have at least seen it. But this story is so wild. It is so like CONCACAF and just like, sort of like, I could totally see this actually happening, there or somewhere in like a small Asian qualifier. Like the great thing about soccer is there's so much of it going on, and there's so many like ridiculous kind of stories, and you get this every so often. So yeah, this is just so wild. I just wish we had the internet to live this kind of in real time.
Christian?
Yeah, I really wish this happened these days, because this would have really blown up. That is just hilarious. It's almost like a FIFA type thing, where somebody just passes the ball back and tries to score own goals when they're frustrated and don't want to play anymore, but they don't want you to leave yet, so they're trying to prolong the game and just like being an asshole. That's honestly all I could think about when I was reading this thread, and it's just top class.
Yeah, I just came across this. I was like, this can't be real. Like, this is the most incredible soccer story I've heard. I wish I was alive for it.
Yeah.
Luckily, Dave and I were.
Yep, we all remember it.
All right. Anything you guys want to add on to this topic, or any others?
No, we'll tweet it from the Bros Talking Soccer Twitter handle. So if you don't know what we're talking about or want additional details, at BT Soccer Pod, we'll tweet it from.
And yeah, the only other point I want to make here is that my Twitter still is not letting me read the last text in that chain, saying it's blocked for sensitive information. And I keep marking that it's not private or whatever, and it will not let me read it.
Yeah, it's linked to a Wikipedia page. Like it's not anything bad. So I don't know why it says that. Like I think just because it's linked to a Wikipedia page.
You can't trust Wikipedia.
Yeah.
All right. There's a little bit of music. Thanks for joining me at Matt's time here on this place. We'll be right back.
On this place.
Podcast.
That's all right. All right. I like you can't trust Wikipedia. Okay. Cool. Hello, viewer. What's that?
There's no bibliography for you.
All right. All right. Stadium scene plug. Christian, do you want to start it?
Sure.
All right.
We just want to give a shout out here for our partner Stadium Scene this week, or one of our partners, one of our many, but this one is for you. So what Stadium Scene does is they provide information of a bunch of different things involving stadiums in the U.S. and Canada. They are growing as well, so they're going to other countries, but we're working on it. So Stadium Scene provides information such as places to go eat, things to do around the stadium, just events around the stadium, just anything you can really think of that you'd want to do and be a part of when going to visit any stadium in any sport. So this isn't just soccer. Remember that. You should really check them out. It's very, very helpful guide.
Absolutely. And they also partner with content creators like us at Bros Talking Soccer on their website, stadiumscene.tv. You can check out podcasts, blog posts, YouTube videos, again, across all different kinds of sports. They have our stuff on there, so please go support us, but also go support the other partners on there. They are constantly adding new partners, again, across a variety of sports, doing all different kinds of interesting content. So again, go check out stadiumscene.tv today. Boom. Good stuff. All righty. I think we're flying along here. Hello, viewer. Please feel free to say hello. Any thoughts on anything we've talked about? Christian?
I said hello.
Okay. Hello as well. Okay. I think we're ready to jump right into Christian's corner now. Christian, are you ready?
I was born ready for
how
this.
long was my
Wow, Matt's
thing?
just going to interrupt Christian's corner like that?
Yours was about 15 and a half minutes from when I started, Matt. So I talked for about 2 minutes.
So, good
So
timing. Christian
then,
probably for a minute, and then
yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, by the time you started, it was like 2 minutes in. So yeah, your segment was less than 15.
Perfect.
Yep. All right, Christian, take us away.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Christian's Corner in episode 100. This is just so exciting. Christian's Corner is not in its 100th episode. I'm not actually sure where we're at right now, but it's still pretty fresh and new and just very exciting. So we're going to get going here and enjoy. So what I'm going to start with here is Bethlehem Steel announced they are going to play at Talen Energy Stadium. For those who don't know, which I don't know how you don't know, you guys are crazy. That's where the Philadelphia Union play, and this is crazy because this is not an MLS team coming into play. This is a affiliate. What is it? US? Are they USL?
They're a USL affiliate,
Yeah.
but they're owned by the Union. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. So they are owned by the Union. They play in Bethlehem, which is probably about an hour away from where the Union are set up. Maybe a little bit more. I can't. It's hard to tell.
That's
probably.
good enough.
But yeah, just take 476 and go. So
in case you guys are wondering,
I think it's pretty crazy that they're going to share the field. I feel like this is going to cause a lot of issues. I'll start with Dave on this one. How do you feel about the Union sharing their stadium this year with their affiliate USL club?
I'm disappointed from a lot of different perspectives, but for a little bit more context here, the move had to happen because Bethlehem's stadium that they played in last year didn't meet USL's requirements anymore for, playing in that division. So the reason they're making the move is to stay in what's now called the USL Championship, which is basically Division 2 in the US. So that's just a little bit of context. Now, from a lot of different perspectives, I don't like the move. Number one, Bethlehem Steel is one of the most historically successful teams in American soccer. They have a glorious history. They were founded back in the early 1900s. Won the U.S. Open Cup 5 times and ended up disbanding. And the Union kind of brought them back in a completely different incarnation, but kind of used that name. And so to kind of just take that and now move it out of Bethlehem and down to Chester, I don't love it from that perspective. Number two, from the Union's perspective, they're going to be playing in the Union Stadium, tearing up the Union's field. I don't love that aspect. And number three, I mean, at least when they were an independent franchise playing an hour away, they could draw on some fans and sort of sell it a different way. I find it very, very tough to understand how they're going to get fans down to Chester for a Steel match when they struggle to get fans down there for a Union match. So I don't like it from those three perspectives.
Excellent points. I agree on all fronts. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, the main thing for me is I'm worried about the field and how that's going to hold up because you can't have it impacting the MLS or the Union, which is their biggest brand right now, and even if they're affiliated, that's the thing you kind of have to look out for most. And if it's going to affect how the Union play at home, then it's something that needs to be changed immediately, or somewhere that Bethlehem, I don't know what other options they would have. Like, could they rent out another closer stadium, or they're probably closer to somewhere in Jersey at that point, you think?
In Bethlehem, maybe. Yeah, but I don't know if a stadium in Jersey has the requirements that, that meet. And I don't think that they were excited about paying rent. So I think that plays into it too.
Yeah. So for me, I think the condition of the field, but I also have a question for you guys, because you guys probably know, the Union or Talen Energy Stadium or PPL Park, whatever it used to be, they would always run out to rugby tournaments or college soccer. I know my high school now plays one game a year at Talen Energy. So it's
our finals at Talen Energy Stadium.
Yeah, so it's how much more will the field really be beaten up? Or
if the team's playing there every 2 weeks, it's a huge difference.
Well, now every week. So like I imagine they're either going to structure it where the Steel play when the Union are away, or they structure it where like they play on the same weekend. So either way, the field's going to get torn up. Now, Matt, to your other point, the stadium is technically owned by Chester, the city. So I think that the Union don't. I want to say they don't have full control over the events that are held there, and they owe it to the city of Chester to have other events. So that's I think that plays some sort of role in why they have other events there.
Okay, and do you think like the field's ever been like that badly torn up before?
I've seen it pretty bad.
Yeah, Harris and Ali this year came out and said they were complaining about it. I want to say in the second to last home game, or maybe the last home game, they were really complaining about the field. So it's I don't necessarily see it watching on TV from afar, but the players I guess have complained about it. And Christian, I know you've been there more in person. I don't know if you've noticed anything.
Yeah, you can tell as the season goes on, and especially once that rugby tournament, which is played there every year, goes on. Sometimes they'll have lacrosse tournament. Like they have a bunch of different events that are in the stadium, and they also like paint the lines different. Like it really messes with the field.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Like, long term, I feel like they got to build maybe like a separate, smaller stadium in the complex because they have a ton of land that they own kind of there, and like the Sounders do this, and some other teams do this where they have Open Cup matches at these small, kind of intimate venues, maybe 5,000 seater stadiums. I think that they need to move to build something like that for a second division team and or all these other events, and the main stadium should really just be for the Union. That's kind of my perspective there.
Yeah.
What you guys smiling at?
You said intimate.
Intimate.
Anemone.
All right. So, anything else you guys have to add on this topic?
Nah.
No. The only thing I want to add is, I'm heartbroken that my final is going to be affected on our field time because, like, the field condition is just going to be shot when we're playing on it, and that's just unacceptable.
The Bethlehem Steel.
Yeah. All right.
What are you talking about? What final?
The Castle League final is
League final. Okay, all right. You play in like 6 leagues. Like I don't know which league you're talking about.
Obviously, the one that has the playoffs at the final in the blah blah blah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. Here we go. Ronaldinho, one of our favorites. He was just the great entertainer. He's entertained too much. He has no money left. Matt, I'll go to you first here. How do you think this possibly could have happened?
I somehow believe it because of like the stories I've heard about him throughout his career. I feel like it's like Allen Iverson. I assume he has money somewhere where it's not like he's completely broke. I don't know the full story. If you give like better detail later, but like I assume he'll be all right because he's Ronaldinho and can like advertise himself, market himself, make money doing appearances somewhere, but his lifestyle that has been reported, this does not surprise me in the slightest. Because I remember hearing somewhere when he was at PSG, he would just like not show up to practice until the day before games and just drink all week and then just show up and be the best player.
Yeah. I've heard similar stories.
Yeah, and it's a real shame because he was so talented. If he could have had the longevity of Messi, he might be in that conversation with Pele, Maradona, and all those greats. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, well, just on that point, I mean, that's what makes Messi and Ronaldo, what they've done for so long, so impressive because they've kept at the top for so long. On the Ronaldinho front, yeah, I totally believe this. I mean, we see this with athletes all the time. A lot of times they come from backgrounds that maybe don't understand money and understand kind of the concepts associated with it and retaining wealth, and so they live kind of for the here and now, and they don't necessarily think long term when their career's over. I'm not going to be making the same amount of money that I've had before. I mean, the Allen Iverson point, he used to go buy clothes for his traveling crew. He used to travel with a ton of people and just leave them in the hotels and just walk away because he thought that the money would never stop. And so, you hear stories with athletes doing kind of crazy things like that and living these wild lifestyles. Yeah, I can totally believe that he's broke. And, hopefully he figures it out and gets, people he trusts and advisors and whatnot. Cause, I never like seeing this from anybody, but especially from like athletes that, were loved.
Yeah. It just blows my mind that people who make the money that they make are able to blow it. And I feel like all of them have financial advisors, and yeah, you could have a financial advisor and not listen. It's not like they can actually control your money, but it's just really sad to see. It happens over and over again, and it's like hard to comprehend that much money coming from a financial background where I'm an accountant that you could possibly do that.
Yeah, but also, so the financial advisors, depending on how much the person or player trusts that person, the financial advisor could just be looking out for themselves and ways to make money. And then when they bleed the athlete dry, they just move on because they have other clients and whatnot. So there needs to be kind of a reciprocal kind of relationship where they trust each other. And so, it's sad. And hopefully, I don't really have any details behind this, Christian. I don't know if you have more details, but hopefully he gets things figured out.
Yeah, no, there's not really a lot of detail. It's just I know he even said himself, he's like, I have $5 in my bank account now. What does that mean? How does that happen? What? But also, I just want to give a shout out, Ronaldinho. If you're looking for a financial advisor, I would love to help you out. Anybody else have anything else?
No, let's end it on that one.
So Daniel Sturridge, our man made of glass. What is going on with you, man? So he's now involved in a scandal, and the FA are bringing charges on him for being involved in betting. So he's not being charged for actually betting. He gave information to somebody about transfers that were going to probably happen, and people were betting on the possibilities those transfers go through. That's a violation, obviously, of the rules because it's almost like giving private information out to the public where they
insider trading.
Insider trading. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it, and then I was like, yeah, that is what it is. Okay, so I'll go to Matt first here. Do you think this is going to actually be like a long-term ban? Do you think that he's going to be fined?
Was he getting?
He's not
making money?
No, he's not getting anything off of it. He was just giving information.
Okay, so I don't know what the rules. I mean, he should be in somehow get in trouble because he got caught. But for me as a person,
because he got caught.
You know what I mean? I can't see myself doing this because telling I don't know if he was telling people he was close with, or is it just random?
No, he's telling people he was close.
Yeah,
with.
I mean I feel like if I was in that situation, I would tell my friends I don't know. I'm not saying bet on it, but maybe just keep the people close to you up to date with what's going on behind the scenes. It's cool. You're on Liverpool. He's in a position where it's your whole life you kind of work to that position. You know everything that's going on. I don't know. I'd just be excited about it. I know it's messed up, but you kind of also have to be why are these people?
I mean, I know on that stuff about but I don't go around telling people, oh, you got to go invest right now. Something big's about to happen because you can get in trouble for that.
Yeah. But he didn't. So I don't know the full context of the story. So did he say that, or did he say, hey, was he just shooting the shit with friends?
Well, yeah. I mean, even if he's doing that, he's giving privileged information out, and that's against the rules according to the FA.
I understand that, but the friends at the end of the day acted on that. So, you have relationships with people, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure you talk with your friends, or, I talk with my wife about things that, necessarily, if I acted on what she told me, could be considered insider trading, or same with friends or whatnot, but I would never do that. And so at the end of the day, I get that he is somewhat at fault here, but I also feel for him where he, like Matt said, I mean, he may have just been shooting the shit with friends and just talking about what's going on in his life and, hey, this might be happening. And then the friends kind of took that information and tried to profit from it. So again, if it's, I don't know the full story, I would like to believe that he didn't say, hey, go bet on this. And he was just talking with his friends and they acted on it. And so, if that's the case, I would feel bad. If it was the opposite and he was saying, hey, do this and, you can make a little bit of money. Yes, then absolutely he deserves all the consequences.
Yeah, I still think that it's more the first situation that you were just describing, that he was just talking with his friends. But unfortunately, that's the life. You can't do that. And that is breaking the rules.
Yeah. So you don't have any sympathy for him?
No, I feel bad for him, but that is what it is. So when you're thinking about it from the FA's perspective, he's kind of cheating them out of money, or the betting system. That's not right.
No. I don't know. I feel I mean, I don't bet. I'm not like a better, but like I've had like friends I have like friends like at Penn State who are on like sports teams. They'll be like, "Yo, we're gonna get our ass kicked this weekend," or like something like that. And it's like, well, I could bet because I mean they told me like they're not ready, but like I don't do that. Like it's just something that you maybe talk about. So I understand it.
So what do you think? So what should be the punishment, Christian or
Yeah.
Matt?
I mean, he still has till Tuesday to come back to the FA and dispute the charges. He's saying he's completely cooperative. I think all of Liverpool's like legal team are saying he's cooperative, and they are going to fight against it. I don't think that. So if it's true, I still don't think that the ban is too bad. It's not like he's profiting. He's not doing what Joey Barton did, which is ridiculous. But I still think that he should serve some type of ban and probably get a fine.
Yeah,
just a short ban, though.
I agree with that. I think he misinterpreted the rules.
For me, I think it should just be a fine. Like I don't know. I think it should just be a hefty fine. I don't think he should miss time if it's proven that he didn't like knowingly kind of instruct people to act on this information. So that's kind of what So when you say it shouldn't be a lengthy ban, are you talking like 2 matches? Are you talking like 10 matches? What is
maybe up to 5 at the most?
Okay. I might be okay with that, but yeah. I don't think he should miss time if again he wasn't like acting on that or instructing people to act on what he was saying. So that's where I stand.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything else to add on this?
Nah.
All right. So let's wrap up Christian's Corner here. We're going to go to some music, and I thank you all for stopping by. Get ready for Dave's final section in this 100th podcast.
Nice. Excellent work. 1540.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Good stuff. Anybody here have thoughts on the Sturridge betting scandal? What do you think, or the Steel, or Ronaldinho, or anything we've talked about so far? I have the chat feature up here in the background. Please let us know. I'll do a plug for FNX.network. Do you guys want to be involved?
Who?
Okay. What's up, everyone? Dave here with a plug for FNX.network. FNX.network is a website that has stories, podcasts, and all different kinds of information about a variety of topics: sports, entertainment, video games, lifestyle, tech, and more. They have our stuff on there as well as tons of other content. You want to check it all out at FNX.network today. Boom. Okay, cool. Quick little plug. And yeah, we'll go into my section. So in case you guys don't know, we're talking Premier League, VAR, ref being suspended for playing rock, paper, scissors, and then the U.S. performance against England. And just the overall, just I don't even know what to call it with the U.S. team. Just this was my breaking point. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. And then we'll do listener questions. You guys ready?
I was going to pick that topic, but I read the email and I was like, oh, Dave's talking about it.
Which one?
I was gonna talk about like what Pulisic said about US and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but we'll bring up.
Yeah, well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate you reading the email ahead of time. Welcome back, everyone. This is my section, last section here on the podcast. All right, let's jump right into it. Premier League is going to have VAR next season. Matt, thoughts on the Premier League finally getting with the times and implementing VAR next season?
Yeah, I think it's overdue at this point. It seems to be effective in pretty much every league around the world. So I think this was just a good step. Finally righting the ship. And okay. Also with that, Man City would be 2 more points ahead because of the Wolves game where they got a goal that should have been disallowed. So it happens. Liverpool is going to be screwed though next year with their ref decisions.
Christian thoughts.
So we would have won at Arsenal because Mane's goal was onside. So I don't know what you're talking about. That it would be 2 more points for both of them. So
the Fulham. He's talking about the Fulham match.
I'm talking about the Arsenal.
No, Matt was talking about the Fulham match because Mitrovic's goal was wrongfully disallowed.
I agree. I've seen it over and over again. He might have been offside. Like you can't really tell. It's very, very close. All right. Still. It has to happen. VAR has to be in the Premier League. I agree. It's just the trend of the world now. Yes, it's going to delay a lot of celebrations. You're going to have to review a lot of stuff. Probably not that much, but just the most important stuff. But it's at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. I don't really think so.
Yeah, I was a big proponent of waiting on VAR for a lot of leagues. Like I didn't think it should have been in the World Cup. Retroactively, now that we've done all this, I think that they made the right decisions in a lot of ways. I think VAR has been really, really good and useful in a lot of leagues. And now the Premier League just looks kind of, old or archaic to a certain extent because it's being used in so many other of the top leagues that, they probably should have implemented it for this season. But I understand the reason why they wanted to delay. It just looks that much worse now because it was fairly successful at the World Cup and a lot of other leagues are using it. So again, I can kind of understand why they delayed it, but it has to be implemented for next season. Matt, any other thoughts here?
No, I agree with pretty much everything you just said.
Christian?
No, I agree.
All right, quick flying through things. All right, sticking in England. This happened over the last week or so, and I believe it was at a women's match, but a referee forgot his coin. And so instead of, I don't know, flipping something else or deciding a different way to play, he had the players end up playing a game of rock, paper, scissors to decide, the kickoff and all of that information. The FA, I believe it was the FA, or the Referees Association, found out and ended up suspending this referee. I'll get the story up. We have it linked in the video description and podcast show notes if you want to check it out in more detail, but I'll pull it up as we go along here. But the referee got suspended, and now a lot of other referees at amateur matches have decided to kind of protest this suspension and are playing rock, paper, scissors instead of flipping coins this weekend. So, Christian, your thoughts on hearing this story and the referee being suspended?
So the suspension is a little bit ridiculous. I think I would have been expelled as a referee altogether if this was the case for me. I've used that tactic many times because I always leave my coin in my bag. I just don't feel like walking the extra 30 yards to go get it. So I always just played rock, paper, scissors, shoot, I feel like. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. There's no reason to suspend. Yeah, you get a slap on the wrist. Maybe they get fined. Maybe they get told, like, it can't happen again. But it sounds like this is a first-time offense, and to get a suspension for that is ridiculous. It still served the same purpose. Yeah, it's a little bit more skill than luck, I guess you can say. Rock, paper, scissors versus just a flip of a coin. But who cares? It's all just for who gets what side of the field and who gets the ball first. So why is it that big of a deal? And I really like that the referees are coming together kind of protesting the decision because I stand with them in this one. I will only use rock, paper, scissors if I ref again.
All right. So a little bit more context before Matt's thoughts. So the official's name was David McNamara, and it was a match between Man City and Reading on October 26th. And it was in the WSL, which is the highest league in women's soccer. So to add a little bit more context, would this ever fly in a Premier League match? So Matt, let's go to you before we come back to Christian. Your thoughts on this story?
Thoughts on the story or thoughts on the question you said?
All of it.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay. So, well, like Christian said, like I've done like rock, paper, scissors, shooter, the number behind your back. I have one or two behind my back. Like, I've done that so many times, and nobody ever has had a problem with it. Maybe it's different here. I kind of understand that it being the highest division, that referee probably should be more prepared. And I know the referee was only suspended like 2 or 3 weeks, which is not, the end of the world. So, I mean, the suspension in general is like a little ridiculous, and especially if it's like a first-time offense. But I don't think it has any effect on the game. If it was in a Premier League match, I think like the pundits would just have a field day with it. I think it would be more of a joke. I think Twitter would just be taking off with it if this happened like on TV for a Premier League match. I don't think, and maybe a suspension would come in, but like I don't think it would be made out to be like a big deal, like in the media or in the world of soccer, other than the FA.
So, Christian, thoughts on this happening at a Premier League match?
Be a huge deal. I think people would be up in arms about it and freaking out. I think it would be a joke for all of us that watch it because it would just be hilarious. But I think the FA would just lose their minds. I think it would be absolutely just taken back. I think the referee might not even be allowed to ref in the Premier League again. Like, I think it would be that severe of a punishment.
So is this this is the Premier League equivalent in the women's league. So
I'm
this
saying that's ridiculous, but I think that's how they would take it. I think that's wrong. I think who cares? Who cares how they're deciding? Like it doesn't matter.
But is it a lack of respect or lack of professionalism for the women's game, or no? Is that not like?
No,
is that
coin. Like,
Yeah, who cares? Like he forgot it. That happens all the time. I forget my computer at home and have to drive home and get it. That's part of my job. Like,
So why didn't he get a coin? Like
he gets suspended 3 weeks without pay.
yeah. every time I do it, it's really crazy.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. No, why didn't he just go get it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I understand. I just didn't want to go get it before.
But I don't know,
Yeah,
but it was televised on TV.
So. Yeah, and this is like you're reffing 13-year-olds in the Philadelphia suburbs. Like this is like the highest level of women's soccer, right? Like there's a different level of play at this.
Dave, I'm very professional about how I go about things.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know, like, yeah, I guess it is different, like the level, but like in ref classes here, they tell us like, sometimes for your coin, just do rock paper scissors, or they tell us to do that. You know what I mean? So it's like, blame the system. Don't blame the ref. Blame the system.
All right. Well, yeah, listeners, again, if you want to read more about it, again, it's linked in the podcast description and video show notes, and we will opposite video description and podcast show notes. There we go. And, let us know your thoughts, weigh in. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Last topic here, U.S. men's national team. I'm finally at just a loss for words and a breaking point with this team. They didn't qualify for the World Cup about 13 months ago. We've had an interim manager for the last 13 months since the failure. And, for a while, it was just, he's incorporating new players, getting young players in there, and, thought there was going to be a manager appointed after the World Cup. We still do not have a full manager. The team just played England a couple days ago in a friendly, and there was just such lack of passion. The game was so boring from a U.S. perspective. They looked so terrible. Christian Pulisic came out afterwards and had some fiery words, basically saying, like, what are we doing? Which is completely fair from my perspective. And I have been somebody who has been very much like, give them time. Like, this is a transitional phase. But at this point, like, this has been too long. We are losing time, and I'm freaking out to a certain extent. So Matt, what are your thoughts on just everything that has happened from the U.S., your thoughts on Christian Pulisic's comments? Yeah. What do you think?
It's been so frustrating. The last, I'd say, 2 months or so. I think after the World Cup, I think we all understood that, there would be managers available after the World Cup, coaches would be getting fired, and that would be our time to swoop and get somebody. But it just, like, I don't know what happened where we were like, oh, no, we're fine. Let's just wait a little bit longer. I will say, like, after this game, and Pulisic coming out in the media and saying something, I feel like our asses are, like, on a match or something like that. Like, we have to go. Like, it's time.
That's right. Yeah, that's a saying. It's like rope-a-dope.
Our asses are on a match?
Yeah.
No, he means like there's fire to your behind.
Yeah, so yeah, you got to go. You know what I mean? So I think that's like the best thing the best thing to take from what just happened against the England game, because that was horrible. But like, implicit coming out and saying it, I think we'll have a coach by the next international break.
We better if the next international break is in March. So, yes.
I will double down saying we will have a coach by March.
All right. That's very bold of you. Christian, your thoughts on everything that's happening.
I hope we have a coach by the next match, which is what, tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's a joke. We look like a joke of a program. It's just awful. It really is. I'm kind of burnt out supporting them. It's really, really tough. I don't know how we still don't have a manager. We need a coach badly. We need to just pick a team and stick with it and get them moving now. Like, why is Josie still not back in the fold? I understand he was part of the team that didn't qualify. But as you've said multiple times, he's the best striker in our pool right now still.
I think he's injured just from that perspective. I think
he hasn't played in months and months. Like, It's crazy. We just need to get our best players on the field. Arguably, we had our best players on the field this week, other than him.
Yeah,
and that's the scariest part to me.
Yeah, I was texting with Drew, who's been a listener, and we've had him on before, and we were just going back and forth a little bit. And I think a lot of what scares me the most about the U.S. pool right now is that we have players that are very experienced into their 30s, and we have young players that are breaking through in Europe and in MLS. But we really have just this gap of players in their mid-20s, kind of their prime, that are experienced and that I have confidence in. Like Bobby Wood is that player, and I just don't have any confidence in him. Beyond that, Will Trapp is another one. Like, yeah, he's a pretty, he's okay from an international perspective. He's obviously a very talented player. He's a great leader for MLS, but I just don't know his game at the international level because he hasn't really played, and he's 26 and he's just kind of getting a breakthrough now. Like this has just been such a failure.
He is the only one that really is in that age group. Right?
Who?
Nagby.
Yeah, but he hasn't even been playing. Yeah, and so he's been kind of cast out, and he's been injured and whatnot, and so like we just don't have just a level of depth that it just makes me nervous. And so when we're going to come up and we're going to come through adversity, and young players just naturally have dips in form, and sometimes they're not going to be playing that great. I mean, arguably Christian Pulisic is kind of going through that right now at club level, and it's all players kind of go through it. And so it's nothing on him, but players in their prime know how to manage that a lot better. And then the older players just are, the talent's going away. And so for me, I am usually generally very positive, give people the benefit of the doubt until I get to a breaking point, and they've pushed me over that point. And so now they need to appoint a manager, they need to get their shit together, and they need to figure things out. Whether it's Berhalter or somebody else, they need to appoint a manager and start moving forward. I think if Berhalter is appointed, it will be good. And he has proven that he is a very effective manager. And I think he will get the most out of these players, but they need to do something and they need to turn things around because it's just not good enough. Matt, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I'll say like the game, it just looked like nobody should have been out there. And I'll even say like Pulisic. I mean, he had like that one chance, but like even like Weah, who's playing at PSG, and we're so excited about him. I didn't even know he was on the field for, like an hour. Like you couldn't tell he was on the field.
Yeah, I don't know. England looked like they didn't get out of second gear, and they were just running over us whenever they wanted. And England is exceptionally talented. That's not to say that, the US is on the same level as them, but the US has historically always competed, and it has always been set up to at least make things kind of annoying and frustrating. When the US played Brazil, they look like they shouldn't have been on the same pitch. When the U.S. just played England, they look like they shouldn't have been on the same pitch. And for me, that is so disappointing and very concerning. So the Brazil thing, I kind of wrote off in the moment as just, all right, things will change. But we just continue down this lackadaisical sort of line, and it needs to be better. Christian, any other thoughts?
Well, it's very alarming. I don't know how you move forward, but the coach is the first step to moving forward.
Yeah. All right, so we'll be following all that. I'll be tuned in on Tuesday watching the match, see if things are better, but I don't know how or why they would be. And then hopefully we'll have a new manager, shortly after that. But and guys, anything else to add before we get to the listener questions?
So, like, what do you think if we get a result against Italy?
Doesn't matter. I don't care. Like, honestly, these friendlies have been so pointless. We haven't had a meaningful match in 13 matches since we failed to qualify for the World Cup. Like, these friendlies are just... It doesn't matter because Dave Sarachan isn't going to be the manager soon. Who knows how many of these players are going to carry over and play, under the next manager into the next, World Cup and whatnot. And so if we win, great. If we lose, I don't know how much I care. I mean, I would like to see a better performance and at least more energy and positivity on the pitch. But beyond that, I don't know if there's much you can take away.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. Christian?
Nope.
All right. Before we get to our listener questions, quick plug for a YouTube channel, the Soccer Tavern. So that is my little project on the side. We have videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. Club history videos of English clubs, currently researching Bundesliga clubs. We have terminology videos, why is it called a pitch? Why is it called a nutmeg? So on and so forth. National team history videos for the World Cup. We did all 32 teams, as well as explaining the World Cup and how all of that works. So go check that out. It's linked in the podcast description and video. No, damn it. Podcast show notes and video description. So please go check that out. All right. Listener questions. Guys, if you didn't read the email, I don't know if you're going to be able to pull this off from the top of your head, but hey, let's try it. So first one actually comes to us from Drew, who I was mentioning before, at It's a Deal. Top 5 moments from the first 100 episodes that we've had on this podcast. So do you guys have any immediately that jump to mind, or I can give mine and then you can circle back? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I saw it, but there's just so many great
I also
moments.
saw it, and I have no idea how to even approach that.
Okay. All right. So why don't I go? And if anything pops into your head, then you guys can go. So the first one for me isn't necessarily a moment, but in episode 46, we changed to kind of our format with our intro audio being something funny that we say from the podcast. And then we were throwing bloopers in at the end. So for me, from an editing perspective and just from a listening perspective, because I do listen to every episode, like that's kind of the most fun for me. And that all kind of started with episode 46. So that's one. Episode 61, Christian asked if England had tasers, and that is still probably one of the funniest things like I've heard on the podcast. Like, just just context of everything. I think a fan had run onto the field and you weren't sure why they didn't tase them, but it just sounded like England hadn't gotten that technology yet. And so for me, that was hilarious. Episode 66, Christian, you were talking about FIFA getting probed or Sepp Blatter getting probed, and just the way you were talking was completely correct, but it just sounded, ridiculous. And so for that, that whole section was hilarious. Episode 78, Christian had just moved back in with mom and dad. Matt, you were living at Audrey's, and I, haven't had an income and I'm living with Kristen. So we started off the podcast just with like the three of us just being basically like losers. And, the YouTube video for that episode starts. So if you guys haven't seen it, I would go check out episode 78 because it's very, very funny. And it was funny to kind of go back through that. And then the last one was episode 86. All of us, including Dad, were together in the basement recording the episode. That was probably one of the most fun episodes we've had. Just being together is always, I just feel like better. And then having Dad there was really, really cool. So yeah, those were my top 5. So guys, anything that comes to mind, either things that have been said or stuff that you remember?
Wow, there's been so many great moments.
Okay. All right.
Oh, great. Like, I didn't even remember.
I don't remember any of that. I mean, I remember them now that you say it, but like I would never have thought about it.
Well, yeah, so that's right. So I didn't remember these. I remembered some of them, but a lot of them I went back and had to go back through the episode. So I did a little bit of pre-work there. So Drew, those are mine. Maybe guys, if you think of any,
I like when Drew came on, he was great.
Yeah. Okay. So if you think of any, put them on Twitter, we'll retweet them and whatnot. And listeners, if you guys have any moments from, listeners that have been with us for a while or new ones, we'd love to hear from you. So yeah, thank you again so much for listening to us. We really appreciate it. Okay. The other question is from @SoccerNoobUSA. I think we all remember him from a couple episodes ago. What is a farmers league and where does that term come from? So I did a little research here, but do you guys want to go first? Matt?
Yeah, so it's like a term made because it's like insinuating that the players aren't full-time professionals in that league. So they call league they call that the Farmers League because a lot of the teams aren't, or they say that because they don't think they're at the level of, the rest of the Premier League and their other jobs are farming. So, Farmers League.
There you go. Christian, anything to add?
No, that's exactly what I was going to say pretty much.
Yep, and that's basically what I found as well. So in America, we call it like a pub team or a men's league team, but it's basically the kind of the same thing. All right, Christian, trivia.
Professional team, I thought.
What's that?
I mean, it could be like a semi-pro team as well.
Well, no, that's probably like the accurate term, but like I think it's supposed to be like derogatory.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. But okay, yeah. Trivia question?
Yeah, trivia question time.
Right. So let's recap. Brazilian Ronaldo. I know we talked about Ronaldinho earlier, but we're going back to Ronaldo now. He scored a certain number of goals in his career while dribbling around the goalie before tapping the ball in. Do you know how many times he dribbled around the goalie? Think about how difficult that is and how rare it is before you give your answer.
All right.
Dave,
Matt, you want to? Okay. I'm going to say 23.
Okay. I know it's a lot more than that. So
really?
I
Which is ridiculous.
I want to say
no, like okay,
either 80 or 100. So I'm gonna go 87. Oh,
so
no.
I was originally going to say 37, and then Christian sort of talked me down with what he said. But sorry, continue.
All right, I'm gonna say 80. All right, 83. I'll say 83.
Okay, let's think about this. That is a very difficult thing to do. Matt was within 1 goal in his guess. He did it 82 times in his career. That's
wild.
Obscene. I don't think I've ever you rarely see it happen, and he did it that many times, and he did it like actual dribble skills, not just like tap the ball around the goalie, which is just insane.
Yeah, he's doing step overs and breaking the goalkeeper's ankles.
Yeah.
But yeah, he also just stepped on his ankles and broke them too.
Yeah, I remember I see that stat pretty often because I follow a Twitter account that's called the original Ronaldo, and they always just like hype him up all the time. So I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, wow, that's way more than what I expected. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So Matt, maybe retweet that or whatnot. But some of his highlights are just absolutely insane. And he, by 21, he was like scoring hundreds of goals, and like he was absolutely incredible. And injuries kind of derailed him a little bit. But yeah, what a player, right?
Yeah, I miss
What a guy.
All right, listeners, thank you so much for being here. If you liked what you heard, please consider leaving us a review on your podcasting platform of choice, or don't consider it. Please do it. We would absolutely love that, and it would just greatly help us out incredibly. Additionally, if you want to get in contact with us, our Twitter's at BT Soccer Pod. Our email is bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com, and our website is brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com. You can read about us, check out past episodes, and if you want to support the show and don't want to do, if you just want to support the show and you're buying anything on Amazon, go to our store link on our website, click on the Amazon link there, and whatever you end up buying, we just get a small percentage of whatever you buy. Again, no additional cost to you, just a couple extra steps, and it helps support the show and cover the costs of, everything that we're doing here. So again, we would absolutely greatly appreciate that. Christian, anything else to add here?
No, David. But thank you for 100 episodes of your podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Matt, anything else you would like to add?
No.
All right, thanks for being here. Okay, listeners, thank you so much for being here. I expected Matt to say thanks for having me, but he didn't, and so that was that weird pause there. So for people watching on YouTube, we are going to release this as a podcast, and for the podcast, I put together just a little something extra. I think it's about 10 minutes long, but it is we started doing podcast intros at episode 46 of just something weird, funny that we say from the episode. So I've clipped all of them and put them at the end of the podcast episode. It was a lot of fun to make, and we've said some pretty ridiculous things. So strongly encourage anyone watching on YouTube to also check out the podcast. And people, what's that, Christian?
Who said the most ridiculous things?
I think probably you, because a lot of times I don't like to clip myself. And Matt isn't, the biggest talker, as listeners will know. So Christian has definitely said the most ridiculous things, but it's a ton of fun. And, please check it out. And with that brings us to the end of the podcast. Listeners, thank you so much for getting us to 100 episodes. Hopefully we'll talk to you at episode 200 as well. But, stick with us, and thank you.
Episode 101.
Yeah, well, also episode 101, but hopefully they're still here at episode 200 as well. Yep. All right, listeners, thank you so much. We will talk to you soon. See everybody. All right, cool. People of YouTube, thank you so much for being here. We're actually going to record another podcast episode in 15 minutes with David and Paul from Over the Bar. So it's not going to be on this link. It's going to be a separate link. So we're going to end this broadcast and start up another one in about 15 minutes with those two guys. They have a website called Over the Bar. So please feel free to hang around our channel, and we'll be live again in about 15 minutes talking to them. So, thank you all for being here, and, hopefully talk to you soon. All right. See everybody. Bye. Christian and Matt, love that you're paying attention.
I'm paying